with style, sell with Sue. It's your move.
Welcome to the No Place Like Home podcast. Hey, today you're going to get your money's worth, I'll tell you that. How big is your home? What square feet would you say that your house is? Do you know that off the top of your mind? Well, when you're selling your house, you sure do. But I want to tell you, I just heard from some legal experts, and one of the most ridiculous issues that ends up going to court is one that's over square feet. So people will move into a house and then maybe at some point they get a room measured or something measured and they realize, hey, I thought this room was bigger than that. And then I'm going to take the seller to court because they've misrepresented their house, which sounds fair enough. However, going to court over square feet rarely works in favor of the person who bought the house because the judge will say to you, well, have you walked in the house? Have you lived in the house? Did you see the rooms with your eyes? Did you agree to buy them based on what you saw? And if so, then they cannot complain about a few hundred square feet if it wasn't quite right. And surprisingly, people would get up in arms about this. But I just wanted to let everybody know, at least here in Calgary, Alberta, that a few years ago, the Calgary Real Estate Board put some standards in place for measurements. Now, I should caveat that there always have been certain standards in place of how to measure a house. And I myself have had a laser measuring tool to go in physically and measure rooms. But sure, in truth, sometimes listing agents wouldn't represent the home exactly right, or sometimes people wouldn't do it exactly the same way every time. So certainly there used to be some discrepancies. But as of a few years ago, the RMS standards came into practice, and almost every new listing now is professionally measured. So you have either a floor sketch or floor plan by that measurement company, and each room is professionally measured to the standard. So, in my opinion, right now, you're going to get a very reasonable accounting of the square feet in each room, and that's going to be right on the nose. Now, one thing to note when you're looking at square feet on the MLS system, on realtor.ca, wherever you find your houses, when they list the total square feet, that's always above ground. We are not allowed to include basement square footage, or if you have a lower level and it's partially underground, you're not allowed to include that in the total square feet. There are data entry points on the listing where you put that information in, and a potential buyer can certainly read what is in the basement measurements or what are the lower level measurements, but they are not included. So square feet, you cannot argue with it. If you go see a house and the square footage of your living room is actually really important to you, then you need to go and measure that yourself. Hold the tape measure out with your realtor and make sure it is what you want. Because if you end up taking that to court, you're going to be just spending a lot of money for no reason. So what you see is what you get, even if the measurements are not exactly right, how they're listed. You saw it, you bought it, you're living in it, and so you accept it as it is. Now, when you're researching value, of course, one of the ways that you can use to compare houses is price per square foot. And so I know that this does come into play, and certainly I'll use it myself, but always with not a grain of salt, let's say a tablespoon of salt, because there could be two houses pretty much the same square footage, but the price per square feet is based on a lot of other things other than just the square feet. How big is the lot that it is sitting on? Is it a more desirable or less desirable lot? And what are the interior finishes? That varies a lot. So if you're using price per square foot, to compare values, you have to be very careful and very aware, which is usually why you would have an agent helping you discern that. And how appraisers do value of properties is they'll take the absolute most recent sales, the closest to the property, and use that for their appraisal. So even they don't usually go in the house and check all of the finishings and everything. And then, of course, some people will also look at the city tax assessments, which we're paying taxes on. However, I think it's pretty common knowledge, very hard to use that as an actual value comparison. As I can tell you, every year homeowners are going to the city to ask if they can contest the value of their home because the city has it wrong or the city's increased it too much. And so lots of people go and they make their case and often do get their city tax assessments reduced. I know my youngest daughter, she bought a condo a couple of years ago and she just showed us that it's almost doubled in price in the last, I don't know, what is it, 4 years or something now, which is crazy. And she's done no improvements to it. So she was complaining, this is too much. I couldn't sell it for this. But guess what? The city will get the taxes based on what the assessment is. So, of course, they have a little skin in the game. So between price per square foot, what's sold closest, what kind of lot it's on, the city assessment, it actually is very challenging to come up with a good value on many properties. The true test for what the value of your home is and what it's going to sell for is what is somebody willing to pay? And I can tell you, before the big pandemic, in Calgary, we were having some very hard times. Sales were very slow. The markets were very low. And lots of times we would have to say to the sellers, if their house wasn't selling fast enough, the market is telling us that they're not going to pay this price. The market is telling us, and we have to listen to those buyers who are in the market looking to buy a property. So inevitably, the truest test is what will somebody actually pay for your home? And that will give you the value of it. All right. So quick little insight. I was at a church service this last week, and the children's teacher came up, and what she said really piqued my curiosity, because she mentioned that in her class, she had asked all of the little kids what was special about their homes. And so I went back after the service and I asked her if she could tell me some more about what the kids said because I'm always curious about what makes a house a home? What do people value in their homes? And certainly, what do children articulate is valuable in their homes? And so she kind of laughed and said, at first, when she asked the kids, what makes your home special? They talked about the special things they had in the home. Someone had speakers in the ceiling that they used to listen to music to. Someone had a big screen TV. And so they kind of went through the material goods that they thought were cool. But as she dug a bit deeper and asked them, okay, well, that could be in any house. Everybody has a TV or everyone can listen to music. Is there anything that's special that really makes you feel like your house is home and that's your special house and no one else's home feels like that for you? Although you might enjoy visiting other people's homes, you might enjoy watching their movies on a big screen TV or jumping on their trampoline outside if you don't have one. But what makes your home really special to you? And then, very honestly, the children started saying, it's my mom. My mom is there. My mom isn't at any of my friends' houses, and that makes it feel like home for me. My brother, my family. And so, really, I mean, I guess we could have guessed what they would say, but when you think about it, what does make a house a home is your family and how you feel in it. If you're an adult and you're living on your own, it's the way you feel when you come home that you've made yourself a home. And next month, I'm speaking for the In from the Cold, and they have just partnered to take care of Emma's house which is a home that takes care of women who got pregnant and need a place to stay until they have the baby. So they have created a home for people who don't have a home at a very critical point in their lives. And, those women are going to want to create a soft place for their baby to land. Maybe it's not their own home that they own or they rent by themselves. They're living with other people, but what can they do to create that space for themselves and create a place for a newborn to come into, no matter where they're living? So I guess this is a little bit top of mind for me. And when you're in a stage of your life when home is not constant, what does make a house a home? I have some ideas. One thing that I loved when I was about 10 or 11, my family, so I'm the oldest, so I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And for a few years, we moved around quite a bit. I think we moved at least three times in 3 years. And I don't remember a lot about all the little happenings around that phase, but I do remember a bit of music that really has stood out for me. My mom was dating a musician, and of course, she always loved music. She played the guitar at home and sang. But when George lived us for this little while, they got into this routine at one of the houses. Maybe he only lived with us in that house. I don't remember. But in one of the houses, my bedroom was upstairs. And I can remember waking up in the mornings. I don't even know how long this went on for. It might not have even been that long. Maybe it was just over the summertime. But I can remember waking up in the mornings and hearing music playing. And this was in the 70s, so it was like the Eagles and Deep Purple. We even had a little bird named Hoople, named after Mott the Hoople, who is that band that sings All the Young Dudes. And side note, Mott the Hoople, that name of that band came about because the producer of their music, when he was in prison, read a book called Mott the Hoople. How about that? And the song that was one of their greatest hits, All the Young Dudes, was actually written by David Bowie, who also really enjoyed the band and gave the song to them so they could sing it. Now, speaking of David Bowie, of course, there's another one. He was another well-played artist in our home, a little Lady Stardust, never hurt anyone. And so to this day, I still feel really good when I listen to that genre of music, those particular songs. I feel comforted. I feel happy. I play that music all the time. And really, like, I remember it was really nice to wake up to that kind of music. So, a little research will reveal that there are very many benefits to music and using music. The science actually shows us that music can help us lay down memories, recall memories, make new memories. And there were two recent studies, one in the United States and one in Japan, that discovered, scientifically researched, that music helps us retrieve stored memories, and it also can help us lay down new memories. So, listening to and performing music, they both activate those parts of the brain that are associated with our memory and emotion. And it's well known to help Alzheimer's patients. If you've never looked into that yourself, there's a ton of research that playing music where people are living in a home and suffering from Alzheimer's, sometimes even those who are unable to speak will hear a song and all of a sudden they can remember when they heard that song. They remember the words. They might even get up and sing or dance. And so when they're able to recount and it brings them back, it almost seems like the music seems to open a door to the vault of their memories. So it's a very special tool that we can use if we're conscious about the science and the research that goes behind this. It can help create memories like it did for me. And it can help when I hear an old song, take me back to those memories. So if you spent a little of attention thinking about this, How could you create an environment that is your no place like home? Maybe you do it already, but you weren't conscious of it by playing the music that sets a tone in your home that you enjoy hearing in your space. Maybe when you take a road trip and you're driving down the road, you have a special playlist. And when you hear those songs, it always reminds you of that. Maybe you could wake up to your favorite songs. Or if you have children, try it in the mornings. Have them wake up to some songs that they enjoy or you enjoy and see if it changes the tone in your home. I know that you will find, as I have, a benefit to intentionally setting the tone and using some music to help clear the neurological pathways. When I sit at open house, I always bring music, and I actually have a curated playlist of romantic jazz that I think probably most women really enjoy. And if they're feeling that love toward the music, I imagine maybe they're going to feel love towards the home that I'm selling at that time. So, on that note, I wonder if any of you might have a memory or a unique way that you have used music to help the warmth of a home. Tell me, message me. I really want to know about it. And if you're looking for your happily ever after, please let me put you in your place once and for all. You can reach me at sue@suestyles.com. And I hope you'll take something away from today, a little drama, a little quick tip, a little music. Put on your favorite playlist after this and see how it makes you feel. See you next time.